The Northtown News Magazine is brought to you in part by eVoter. eVoter is proud to be a sponsor of the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, Marty. I'm the real Marty Levinson. Keep on cutting.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet home Chicago. 2 is 4.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with Sonny Hirsch, our cameraman, and the greatest host around, Sonny Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org, where over 130,000 of you have watched shows. Community policing, real big on that. caps24.org. Sonny Hirsch in his spare time is chairman of the 24th District Advisory Committee. We haven't done shows for a while, folks. I'm trying to unrust myself. We want to wish him a refuah shleima, as they say in French. He got stabbed by a back surgeon, and his back is doing better. Being, the police guy, he was able to report the crimes and high misdemeanors to the police, and his surgeon is now under house arrest. I think somewhere off the coast of Cuba in Guantanamo Bay. In any event. By the way, if you want, when you go to YouTube, you should subscribe. It's free to Sonny HTV, and that way you'll get all the weekly notices. And by the way, don't forget to Facebook us. And, do that Facebook with the hard left. But, you can Facebook me, Avi Myers, and, hey, that's where I do lots of stuff on politically. So, check it out. It is a pleasure to have one of our most frequent guests, who actually accidentally is here when all kinds of news is coming up and all sorts of effluents are being served upon the Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. We are talking about the longtime president and Commissioner Terry O'Brien. How you doing?
Good, Avi. Thanks for inviting me for your summer season opening.
Pleasure to have you, and of course it is a summer season opening, and it wouldn't be a proper show without starting out by going, "Hey, Kathleen, how you doing?" And we'll say hi to Darlene also, as a matter of fact.
Darlene
We just
and
saw her
Patty
at your
and Jim.
Absolutely,
Got to get them all in there.
Hi to everybody. So in any event, okay, I can't miss this. I mean, by the time this is out, it might be 3 weeks, but there was a real big headline in the paper that basically talked about how a certain administration in Washington would actually like to make the Chicago River swimmable.
Well, yes, I think you're talking about today's headlines about wanting to swim in the Chicago River.
Now, isn't that an abomination?
Well, it's been going on before the president was elected to office. This started about 5 years ago in relationship to some...
I do know. We actually have talked on the subject on the air, and we've discussed it in detail.
Exactly, we have. Some rule changes.
Not to mention we've taken a boat ride.
That's true, to show you some of the effluent that they're talking about.
And when my hat fell into it, I wasn't even willing to go back and go get the hat.
We did find that hat, by the way, Avi.
Really?
We'll have it cleaned and pressed and brought back to you.
Are there little green creatures growing out of it now?
No, it's fine. It's a great shape. Cleaner than when it went in. Holy cute.
Good line.
I was a good friend.
Good line. I like that.
You're editing this, so.
No, actually, no. I voted for him several times, so don't worry about it. I do like him. So anyway, let's talk about it. So 5 years ago, people would like to swim in the river?
Yeah, I mean, I like to say that we've done our job so well with the implementation of the tunnel that's been online since 1985, and the cleanliness of the effluent now that's in the river system, which has brought economic development to great heights. You see downtown, a lot of these hotels and office buildings are now building their front doors facing the river because it's really a true amenity. When Richard J. Daley made the comment, it was printed in the paper today, that sometime down the road, people will be able to go out at lunch and catch their fish and
Which
eat
is
it
one
too.
of the few. I was not a Richard J. Daley fan. But the fact of the matter is, that's one of the things I really liked, and I thought that was a nice idea. Now, I think you can catch fish. I don't know if you want to eat them.
Well, there's right now we have 68 different species of fish. The most recent fish that they think might have invaded the water system here up in Cook County, but we've got no proof that it has, is the Asian carp. They've spent a lot of money on doing shock testing of fish, killing fish
millions of fish, spending tons of money killing fish. They're killing fish and then talking about swimming in the river.
And today,
and by the way, a lot of the carp that went for export, the ones they caught further downstream, in the Illinois River or whatever it was,
south of the electronic barrier.
Yeah, those were actually shipped to Israel for gefilte fish. And like I told you, I'm still waiting for the day when the wild gefilte will roam throughout the Chicago River.
Well, unfortunately, with what's going on in the Gulf right now, the Asian carp might be the only fish that people will be able to eat, and that's a sad commentary on what's happening there. But
yeah, I shouldn't laugh about that.
We won't deal with that. We'll deal with the issues that we're responsible for here in Cook County.
Yeah, that is a sad situation.
But 5 years ago, Avi, there was noise about Illinois EPA wanting to make a rule change before the Illinois Pollution Control Board as to they thought that we needed to start disinfecting at our 3 older treatment facilities. At that time, we looked at the various technologies, ultraviolet, ozone treatment, as well as chlorinization and dechlorinization. And we ran some numbers on what it would cost us to retool or revamp our old treatment facilities in order to take on this capability. And we're looking at a cost of somewhere under $1 billion. So we started looking at those costs, and I know it was printed in today's paper that they came up with a figure of $650 million, it was, I think. But they only talk about the initial cost. They don't lay out the fact that it's going to cost this agency, the taxpayers of this county, another $20 to $30 million on an annual basis to maintain and operate these systems. So that's an additional cost on top of what they want to do for disinfecting the effluent in the river system here in Cook County.
And while they're talking $2 a person per shot, but it's over 20 years and they want it all up front.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, and we're in very difficult times.
And they're talking about $650 million?
Exactly. And it's we all know what the economy is like right now. There's not a governmental agency that's above water, either locally or on a state level, potentially on a national level. And here we want to spend additional monies where we don't know if we're going to receive an additional benefit. This has been a very emotional issue between the environmentalists and those who want to swim in the river system in Cook County. What we're saying is let science make that decision. And we are in the process of doing 3 different studies in relationship to determining whether the residents of this region will receive an additional benefit by us doing this disinfection at our treatment facilities. We're doing an epidemiology study right now with the University of Illinois Public Health School, where we've got, I think, 10,000 participants in this whole process, of which we're looking at those people who recreate on the river, whether it's kayaking and canoeing, those people who recreate on the lake, those people who recreate in both venues, and those people who don't recreate on either, to see if there really is a health risk in relationship to them being splashed with river water. As I mentioned, I said, since we put that first leg of the tunnel online in 1985, we've got about 68 different species of fish. So the system is working. The problem is the system's not completed. We're still trying to finish the reservoir portion of the system, which will give us a greater holding capacity during heavy rainfalls. The problem we've experienced during heavy rainfalls is once the intercepting sewers, the local sewers, our wastewater treatment plants fill the capacity, and the tunnels fill the capacity that we have online, we have to divert that water back into the waterway system. So what we're doing is basically defeating the purpose of disinfecting the water and then allowing this water to flow back in. Another thing that's going to have to be looked at, they think disinfection is going to be the cure-all to making this water pure and swimmable. Well, if anybody has gone on a boat ride down the Chicago River, whether it's the pleasure boats or a barge pusher or whatever, you can see that there's
pollution control one.
Or pollution control one. You can see the agitation of the sediment on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think they should dredge the Chicago River before they even start looking at disinfecting. And what is that going to cost?
And not to mention what they're going to find from the El Capone days.
Well, not going there, but there's been studies conducted on the dredgings in the river where, yeah, you're going to find contaminants there that aren't suitable to going into a landfill and are going to be very costly to deposit somewhere.
That's really interesting because, yeah, in the old days when people didn't even think about environmental stuff at all.
I mean, I can tell you incidents back in the 1980s where some dredging work was done on the inland waterway system, and they had readings of upwards of 150 or better parts per million of PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, in the river system bed. And, that was just one little section of that river.
A lot less than that would freak out people at a residential project around here.
People have to remember, industry and a lot of the discharge that occurred back before our agency became a reality or before the tunnel became operational, a lot of that water flowed into the Chicago River system. The Chicago Area Waterway System is what we want to call. So, I mean, there are contaminants in there still. And then, and if the EPA and them want to press upon our agency to start doing disinfection, then maybe we should look at dredging first before we start doing the disinfection.
That makes a lot of sense, but then again, you're talking about Washington. I do want to give David...
But it's not only Washington, Avi. It's the local, the Illinois EPA as well. And we're not trying to shuck our duties. Nobody's health or safety is in jeopardy here. We're doing what we're responsible to do, and that's protect Lake Michigan.
And by the way, well, go ahead, please.
But what people are wanting us to do is make the Chicago Inland Waterway System swimmable. Isn't the lake big enough right now? And during these tough economic times, you want us to saddle the taxpayers of this county with under a $500 million bill for no additional benefit from what we can see right now.
See, there's a couple of interesting points here, too. Number one, how many government agencies say we don't want to spend $650 million? I mean, you could get all these extra employees, all this extra power, all this largesse, and you're basically saying it's like, we don't need to be that big. Secondarily, if we talk about things like the Chicago Ship and Sanitary Canal, which is connected to the Chicago River, that doesn't even have a shore. That was dug as a canal that is 10. You take one step in and it's 10 feet deep.
Yeah. Let me you just brought up the issue with regards to an additional responsibility. May 6th, we refunded $11 million back to the taxpayers. May not seem like a lot, but there's no other agency doing it. 2 years ago, in 2008, in December, $56 million. That is saying something during these tough economic times. One of the other things that people don't realize is we've taken on an added responsibility without adding personnel to our workforce, and that's stormwater management. In 2004, we took on that responsibility because the county was doing absolutely nothing with it, and we were getting blamed whenever it rained. So I spent 7 years in Springfield trying to get the General Assembly to have that responsibility switched from the county board over to the Water Reclamation District.
And as a matter of fact, your workforce is continually going down, but not through firings, through natural attrition.
Through attrition, exactly. And we have not had to furlough anybody at the agency, which we're very proud of. And the fact is, we got a very professional workforce because people are there by what they know and not who they know.
That's for sure. That is definitely for sure. And people should definitely take note of it. It's. I read some of these things that people start saying, and it's just ridiculous.
And one of the things that it really upsets me is that the fact is that everybody's kind of playing into this emotional thing. We've had numerous committee hearings, committee meetings, whatever you want to call them, over the last 5 years. And during that 5-year period, we've had these environmentalists and environmental groups and so on and so forth come before the board. One of the questions that I've always asked them, do you have any documentation or analytical results that you can provide us that would help us in making this particular decision or helping the Illinois Pollution Control Board in making this particular decision? Nobody's done it. All they tell us is, well, they do it in this city, then there's no reason why we can't do it here in Chicago. Well, Chicago's not like the New Yorks, the Milwaukees, the LAs, and some of these other cities. Our water doesn't flow into Lake Michigan. Flows away from Lake Michigan. Milwaukee, it flows into Lake Michigan, so they have to disinfect, just because it's their drinking water supply. But, it's just the whole emotional situation right now, and I'm just telling people, let science take its course. Let us finish these studies. Hey, if we're going to have to do it, we'll have to do it. But why spend a lot of money when we might not have to spend a lot of money, and especially in this tough economic period?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's an extra $650 million running. And if somebody does have an extra $650 million running around, you can get my email information at the end of the show. There's a little tree stump with the hollowed out. Just drop the money in there anytime at night and just let me know it's there.
But I would like to go one step further.
Sure.
If it's needed and what they want us to do, then maybe should we go to the taxpayers and let them make that decision?
I mean, you have a referendum. I like that idea. And by the way, I think it's about time that in Illinois there were more things like referendums to decide these things. Let people really decide. Sure. I like that. That's a great idea.
It's I mean,
this is supposed to be a democracy.
You've got neighbors out of work. I've got neighbors out of work. I got neighbors losing their homes. I mean, it's tough times.
Yeah.
And to be spending something, on a need where, it's not necessary right now from what we could see from the science that's been done. But, you even talked about, swimming. How do you get in and out of the river? There's no beaches along the river. Now, does the park district start creating beaches? Do we start hiring lifeguards? I mean, we just saw a couple weeks ago what happened to a poor child up on the North Branch of the Chicago River because the currents were so strong. And that's not even a traveled body of water, with vessels or anything of that nature. It's just
and then a lot of it's private property where people are actually, we have docks and things in various states of repair that they're.
So, I mean, it's just let the science make that decision.
Yeah, Lake Michigan's a really nice place to swim, so people, and if you really don't like Lake Michigan, go to your local J or Y or whatever and go take a dip.
A lot of opportunities. But that's, I mean, and what we got to remember and keep in mind, you're talking about a $1 billion price tag, just under $1 billion. We still have to run our facilities to protect Lake Michigan. And that's the most important thing people have to remember. We still need to treat the wastewater on a daily basis and not worry about some secondary things. I mean, because we all need water to survive. And our mission from day one is to protect Lake Michigan.
Well, by the way, after we do the swimming thing, can we have tanning salons also?
Anyway, I won't go there.
So you know what? Just anything else special going on? You got any other plans, water reclamation wise, or?
No, I mean this seems to be the hot button issue right now, which I'm sure it will continue on. We'll have our epidemiology report completed by the end of July, and we'll present our findings to the state, Illinois Pollution Control Board, and I think there's still some other testimony that's going to be taken in relationship. I know we've got some expert witnesses that still have to appear before the Illinois Pollution Control Board. So, but it's very time consuming, and it's an important issue to us, as well. It should be an important issue to the taxpayers of this region because of the money that would be spent. Extremely
important issue, and at this point, you want to give us your contact information?
Sure. I can be reached at 312-751-5700. That's my office number, direct to my office.
Okay, and if you want to get no, that was a bad joke. I'm not going to tell it. Anyway, it's been my pleasure to have the president of the Great Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, Terry O'Brien, and he's not running for anything right now, which is, we have good people on because listen to him when it comes to this disinfection stuff. This is just, it's insane. It is an abomination. Thank you so much, Terry.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me on.
And Marty says
That's
hi.
Sunny.